Want to watch football without the restrictions of blackouts or cable? Check out expressvpn.com to help you get access to all the live games. Sign up today using the link in the description to get 3 free months. Kia ora, brothers. It's the Director. Chargers fans, today we are going to be talking about one of my favorite players in the NFL, in Joey Bosa. And more specifically as to why this man needs help, dude. One of the most talented players in the league, I feel, is having his production stifled because he doesn't have the pieces around him to help him really live up to that full potential. You know what? The Chargers paying a hefty price for Joey Bosa. We want to make sure we unlock his fury onto the league. So in this video, we're going to be talking as to why the defensive line is such a big priority for the Chargers in 2022 and how we can help Joey Bosa and the Chargers generate just so much pressure in the upcoming season. So we've talked a lot about free agency so far on the channel, right? Free agency coming around the corner on March 16th. The offseason officially kicked off yesterday after the Super Bowl. Today is all about how do we start getting better, okay? And a big thing that the Chargers struggled with the past couple of seasons, pressure and most certainly run defense, right? One of the league's worst run defenses last season. We're going to see if we can help address that in today's video. As far as pass rushing, we're not in a terrible position, right? Ranking around the middle of the pack in pressures, but the Chargers, in my opinion, are no way living up to Brandon Staley's dream defense, right? With the Rams, Brandon Staley had Donald and Floyd and Brockers. The Chargers, in my opinion, boast just one premium player in Joey Bosa, and as good and as amazing as an individual player he is, he needs help, and the Chargers need to find a way to get him the help he needs to live up to his potential, and honestly, how much the Chargers are paying for him on his 5-year contract. Along with the league's worst run defense, this video aims to address these issues. So let's get into it, man. Before we do, question in the comments like we always do. If you could bring in one potential free agent for the Chargers to help out Joey Bosa, this could be in the interior or on the edge, guys, who would it be and why? Let me know in the comments section below. Well, before we do officially kick off, hit us up with a like and sub if you do enjoy this Chargers content. The small amount of time you guys take to hit the like, sub, bell notification helps me out a lot. Let's get into it, boys. Lights, camera, action. Joey Bosa needs help. Why the defensive line is a top offseason priority for the Chargers. Let's kick things off, guys. I got a slew of different topics I want to cover and how the Chargers can address this. Let's start things off with an elite pass rush elevates the defense at every level. And okay, we're going to use the Los Angeles Rams as a good example here. Of course, the most recent Super Bowl winners. These guys absolutely have one of the best defenses in the league. And as I was watching them this season, because obviously we're taking a closer look at this team as we did adopt a head coach from their system, it really seems like a big part of the Los Angeles Rams is generating organic pressure, okay? And these are plays outside of blitzing that do generate pressure on the quarterback. And you know what this does? This helps your linebackers and your defensive backs feast, okay? The Rams already have some pretty good corners in Ramsey and Williams, but I do believe that they're offered more opportunities with opposing cornerbacks running for their lives, okay? And I'm going to say this like Spider-Man, okay? With great pressure comes great opportunity, and the Chargers need to improve on that stat. Again, it all kind of starts at the ground floor. You generate some good pressure, quarterback's going to be running for their lives, making worse decisions, and if you got decent cornerbacks back there, you're going to start generating more turnovers, and that's a big stat that the Chargers need to improve on in 2022, okay? Next topic, wasted resources. We're going to show Joey Bosa's stats in the first 8 weeks of the season. Now, at the top of the season, you'll notice here that the Chargers got a premier pass rusher in Joey Bosa, right? Look at these grades. He's definitely one of the best in the league. But I fear his potential, again, is being bottled up as teams continue to throw resources at him alone. Okay, and I'm talking about double and triple teams committing resources on your offensive line to stop one guy. And when it comes to stopping the Chargers pass rush, they really only have to worry about one guy in Joey Bosa. And if you take a look down here at week 6 and 8, it really started to become evident that teams are figuring that out. A lot of the times, NFL coaches, NFL organizations, short memory, we come into a new season, we see Joey Bosa going off, it's time to go back to what do we do to slow this individual down, okay? Again, he opened up strong in the season, but as they always do, teams adjusted, and Joey Bosa individually suffered for it, okay? Without a guy opposite of Joey Bosa, he's left as the lone wolf on that line, and I don't want to see that happen anymore. Because another big reason that I alluded to at the top of the show is that the Chargers have committed $135 million to Joey Bosa in his 5-year deal. In my mind, when you see stats like this, you are living up to that potential in weeks 1 through 4 and 5. But after that, when teams start figuring out to throw resources at that individual who's worth a lot of money, has a lot of talent, it starts to feel like money wasted, right? Every week, I see that money go down the drain as he continues to get double and triple teamed, and we've got to find a way to solve that problem. Joey Bosa, a great individual talent, okay? Don't get me wrong. He's incredible, despite the double and triple teams. But just imagine a full-strength Joey Bosa against a single blocker. And you know what? I think we saw a lot of that here at the top of the season as Joey Bosa dominated over Washington, Dallas, Kansas City, Vegas. We need to help him generate that kind of pressure. And the only way to do that is I think, to add another guy on the opposite side of that line. Okay, and I think, honestly, there's a lot of things you can do on the defensive line to help generate that sort of help for Joey Bosa. Okay, to me, the only way to get the most out of Bosa and his cap is to get him some help. Next up, committed to change. Now, at the close of the season, Brandon Staley committed to transforming this defensive line, did he not? He lived up to his word last season. A lot of people say, coach speak, of course he wants to help the run defense. We sucked. But when it comes to Brandon Staley, he lived up to his word last year, right? Completely rejuvenating the offensive line in a very, very big way. Nowhere in my wildest dreams did I think I would walk into the 2021 season with the Chargers and see the offensive line that we had on that squad. I don't think I've ever seen an offensive line as good as the line that Brandon Staley helped, organize in 2021. I think that he can do it again. Him and Tom Telesco seem to have a chemistry that really works into bringing people into the right scheme, on the right fit, under the right numbers, and I think Brandon Staley can do it again, okay? Of course, the Chargers' highest priority this offseason is improving the run defense. I think you got to throw edge in there as well, and I think he kind of alludes to that. I think that's honestly part of the formula in improving that defensive line is edge. Now, even though the Chargers were close to the Rams in terms of pressure in 2021, the Rams did beat us by a wide margin in one category, and I'm sure you guys can guess it: run defense. As good as their pressure was last season, their run defense was even better. I think they ranked 6th in the league as far as the best run defense in the NFL, and that's a very, very impressive stat. On the other side, dude, you can also notice the Cincinnati Bengals in the Super Bowl versus the Los Angeles Rams. Those guys ranked one of the best in the league as far as run defense as well. This is becoming a very, very important thing to have strong on your team in terms of strength of position, and that's going to be one big thing the Chargers and Brandon Staley in particular is going to be targeting this offseason. Now, we do know that the Chargers boast around $60 million in the league right now, right? And that's second in the NFL. A lot of money to spend. Me personally, I fully expect them to be, $70 million plus by the start of free agency with some of the cuts and projected guys we see leaving the squad. That is a lot of dough for any team to work with in an offseason. You combine that with 11 draft picks that the Chargers have this year, too. They got all the ammunition in the world to completely flip over this run defense and, quite honestly, our pass rush as well. But I do view free agency, in my opinion, this offseason to be the best avenue to take if I'm the Bolts for that defensive line. Let me explain that, okay? I certainly wouldn't mind a Jordan Davis in the draft, right? But the Chargers need more than just a defensive tackle, if that makes sense. And in terms of best player available, I would hate to lock ourselves in without signing a guy beforehand, if that makes sense. If we don't sign a guy in free agency, we're kind of forcing ourselves to take a defensive tackle. What if Jordan Davis isn't there? We got to take the next best guy. And in terms of value, you're losing a lot by doing that, okay? Next up, interior reinforcements, okay? Bolstering the defensive line as a whole is good news for Joey Bosa, okay? In terms of helping Joey, what Brandon Staley committed to do this offseason is good news for him, okay? And not just from the outside on the edge. Interior defenders on the Chargers in 2021, like Jerry Tillery, Linval Joseph, Justin Jones, these guys did not produce the greatest stats. I would say Linval Joseph did early in the season, then he kind of fell off, and Justin Jones, when he was available, looked okay. But as a whole, it could be a lot better. And me personally, I expect at least 2 of these positions to drastically improve by signing a bigger name, okay? If not all 3 of these positions, which is how big of a turnover we might see in 2022. We are looking for big bodies to stop the run, but some are also great in generating pressure as well, okay? So big boys, you know, a lot of the times we think about them as those dudes that are eating up space. They're trying to get to the running back, but we have to also remember there are some players that are also good at generating pressure as well, and that's how we help Joey Bosa from the interior. Here's a good example, and we've talked a lot about Akeem Hicks this offseason. Even during the season, I get it, but he's a fantastic example as far as both facets in stopping the run and generating pressure, okay? He posted high grades in both categories, and this is exactly why you target a guy like Akeem Hicks, okay? By signing a guy like Hicks, not only is it a step in drastically improving our run defense, but I'd imagine he's also good for at least, like 5 sacks in the season. In Staley's defense in particular, I'd go as high as 8 or 9 sacks. Maybe that's being a little optimistic, but you never know. He's good for some pressure from the interior, is what I'm saying. But he's also there to do the biggest job that the Chargers need him to do, and that's stopping the run. That's kind of 2 birds, 1 stone sort of scenario right there. And again, this is great for Bosa. You know, as teams will not only have to scheme around Joey Bosa, but as well as Akeem Hicks, right, from the interior. And a guy like Hicks, dude, his kind of size and the way he moves, he eats up a lot of space. And again, this is all good news for Joey Bosa. He starts taking a step in terms of really producing what his contract says it should, okay? And it doesn't stop there, too. It doesn't stop there, however, right? The Chargers, in my opinion, could and should sign a big 3-4 nose tackle. I'm talking that big guy in the middle. It's what Linval Joseph did for the Chargers last season. Again, Linval did really well at the top of the season, maybe fell off a little bit, and we're not quite sure if he's going to be returning with the Chargers this year, okay? You kind of start taking a look at the pieces we've added so far. You know, I'm hoping, and again, you have to also look at, I almost failed to mention this, you got to look at Akeem Hicks as a 3-4 defensive end, okay? He graded very well at that position, not so well at the nose tackle position. So in terms of vision here, I want to sign Sebastian Joseph Day, right, to your nose tackle position, complement him with an Akeem Hicks. This vision begins to line up for me, okay? I think Day, in my opinion, would be good for maybe 2 to 4 sacks. But again, his main objective is to boost our run defense, and he would do a very, very good job at that, as well as eating up space. All of the sudden, we go from Linval Joseph, who was doing a pretty good job at the top of the season, eating up space, you know, trying to get to those running backs, to 2 huge bodies in Akeem Hicks and Sebastian Joseph Day. All of a sudden, we're looking at offensive coordinators trying to block 2 huge bodies in Day and Hicks, as well as plan for Joey Bosa. It becomes that much more challenging, okay? And this is what we're doing in terms of freeing up Joey Bosa. Big bodies in the interior that are better in terms of what we need being added this offseason, okay? Next up, best of both worlds. Now, here is where things start to get crazy in my mind and the pieces of the puzzle start to take shape, right? It's time for an edge. We've grabbed Akeem Hicks. We've grabbed Sebastian Joseph Day. Now it's time to grab the guy opposite Joey Bosa, okay? But not just an edge, you know, that can get to the quarterback. We also want one that can help defend the run as well. Boom, right? That it's kind of crazy to think about because a lot of people sometimes forget how good Joey Bosa is versus the run as well. If we get another guy like that opposite, not only are we improving our pressures and our pass rush, but we are also improving the run defense, and that's really the objective this offseason, okay? Outside of Bosa, our edge defenders have been really bad in run defense. I love Uchenna Nwosu. He hasn't graded well. Kyler Fackrell, Chris Rump, these guys great at getting the quarterback, but not so good in run defense. So who do we add, right? And this is where the Chargers get a little bit lucky this offseason. There are some great edge defenders in the draft, but the real difference makers, in my opinion, might be gone by 17. But I don't think we get it from the draft, right? I think it's free agency, and that's how we get lucky. This is a very strong class of edge and interior defenders in this free agency class of 2022. And not just names, but players that fit what we need. And that's a big, big thing that the Chargers need to take a look at. Take a look at my top free agent target for 2022 for the Chargers and Von Miller, okay? A lot of people aren't super stoked about this because of his age. He proved all the doubters wrong, I would say, in the Super Bowl on Sunday. We saw this man step onto the field and immediately bolster an already lethal LA Rams pass rush, right? But I'd argue that it was Von Miller's ability to stuff the run that paid big dividends to his signing with the Rams, right? And the options don't stop there. Let's say if Von Miller wasn't available, if he goes back to the Rams, which I'm hearing that he's going to be leaving the Rams this offseason, there are still guys like Jadeveon Clowney, Hasten Reddick, Randy Gregory that also fit this mold as well, being very competent pass rushers, but really good versus the run as well. And that's the kind of guy I want opposite Joey Bosa. You fix the interior of that line to help versus the run, generate a little bit of pressure, and then you grab an edge guy that's really good at getting to the quarterback, but also defending the run. All of a sudden, the Chargers defense is looking a lot different, is it not? Right? By adding a player like Von Miller to that line, this immediately makes offensive coordinators sweat, does it not? Von Miller and Joey Bosa, are you kidding me? If teams continue to double and triple team Joey Bosa, Von Miller would inevitably make them pay from the opposite side, whoever we decide to sign, so long as they're a top talent. However, this is where it gets ridiculous. What would be screaming from the interior as well? Akeem Hicks? Sebastian Joseph Day? How does one possibly begin to think about blocking a line consisting of Vaughn, Jones, Day, Hicks, Bosa? The short answer is they can't. There's not enough bodies. Even a really good offensive line would have trouble trying to block all of these dudes. And what is this? This does is take the Chargers from a bottom of the league run defense, as well as maybe a top or a bottom of the league run defense to maybe one of the top run defenses in the league, as well as maybe a top 10 or even top 5 pass rush unit in the NFL as well. This is a very deadly combination in terms of elite defensive play. Okay, building from the ground up. Now, like stated before, what this would create in LA is a unit that would constantly be in the quarterback's face. And like we said before, what this creates is pressure. Pressure creates panic. Panic creates bad decisions, even by the best quarterbacks in the league. You can take a look at Patrick Mahomes as a good example. Okay, he starts getting pressured. Balls start flying in the dirt, right? They get sailed. They get thrown in areas where they can be intercepted. I do expect the Chargers to add a corner this offseason. I think the draft is a great resource for this, especially at pick number 17. But as far as free agency, I think our cap is going to be used more in the trenches for this reason. Okay? Players like Derwin, Asante, even Mike Davis will benefit a lot from this strategy of really building in the trenches, building with those edge rushers, interior pass rushers, nose tackle, because again, those opportunities are going to become more plentiful. We know when the ball is thrown in the area of Asante or Derwin that a pick is very likely. A hurried quarterback may not have the time to properly read the field, and this will offer, again, more opportunity for these guys to generate turnovers. And this is why some of the better cornerbacks in the league also feature stout run defenses and pass rushes. Opportunity. It creates opportunity for big plays like this that we're seeing with Derwin James. Okay? Finally, proper investing. This is the reason, right? This, to me, seems the best way to utilize our cap. Joey Bosa, who, again, already has a massive $135 million commitment from the team, needs to live up to that number. And again, he does individually, no doubt, but his full potential lies in the pieces that we build around him. A cap hit of 2022, or a cap hit in 2022 of $35 million with a subpar line is a waste of potential, in my opinion, right? And that's in terms of Joey Bosa and maybe an okay guy opposite him, no. And maybe some of the same guys in the middle. No, you can't do that. $35 million, in my opinion, is being wasted with that kind of strategy. A line with a cap hit of, let's say, $47 million in 2022, be it a high number, I know, I think, in my opinion, this is the best use of all the monies, right, that's being committed to that line. All of a sudden, that $35 million, or I should say, I think it's $28 million in terms of commitment to Joey Bosa in 2022. All of a sudden, that money looks a lot better because of the pieces you're putting around him. As a whole, that money does more work for you. Because finally, the most expensive member of our defense can deliver. And that's a big reason why you invest around these guys. This is why teams invest around quarterbacks and that offensive line and weapons. He's going to be very expensive. If you don't give him the pieces that he needs to succeed, then it's a waste of potential. And a great example of that was Matt Stafford. Matt Stafford's such a great talent. Wasted in Detroit. He goes to the Los Angeles Rams. He finally has the pieces that he needs. He wins a Super Bowl. That's a great example of that. Okay? So my bottom line in this video, we have to remember that Brandon Staley, when he came into this team, he came without the pieces that made him so successful with the recent Super Bowl champs, the Los Angeles Rams, right? He came without those things. When he adopted the team featuring superstar Justin Herbert, he also adopted the league's worst offensive line, right? And what did he do? He addressed that. He needed to commit his first season to addressing that head on, and he did in a very, very big way. Absolute transformation on that offensive line. Next up, he finally will begin to piece together his dream team defense, which already features Derwin James, Joey Bosa, and a lot of this will have to do with scheme fit, right? The Chargers lacked size from the interior, maybe outside of Linval. This is pretty important when running a 3-4 defense, okay? In terms of drastic transformation, this is where I expect the Chargers' biggest improvements come in 2022. And lucky for us, in my humble opinion, this is the position that could elevate the Chargers defense to that of Super Bowl contenders. You're building from the ground up. And that bottom level, dude, that foundation is going to build very, very big opportunities for everybody above. Very excited to see where that heads. Well, guys, let me know in the comment section what you think of all this. This is kind of like my blueprint. We're going to be doing more videos like this in the future as far as what I would do in terms of signings. We'll get even into more of the specifics as we get along, but the ground up, man, you got to build those trenches. You got to build up that defensive line. You're going to help out Joey Bosa, spend that money a little bit smarter, and honestly, improving that run defense is going to go a long, long way into not only making it into the postseason, but deep into the postseason as well. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining me. This has been The Director. Hit us up with a like and sub on your way out if you did enjoy this content. We'll see you next time, and as always, bolt up and stay frosty.